Very important concept. Inverse. We saw a part of or a glimpse of this when we were finding out the range. And once we have a function, we find out the inverse and we find out the domain in order to find out the range of the original function. So we were taking a look at all of this in the range topic that we did, but we did not see what is inverse explicitly. So what is inverse explicitly? Let's try and understand this with a very simple diagram. So if I have A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, and I have a mapping going like this, A going to 1, B going to 3, and C going to 2. Okay, this is a one-to-one function. Inverse is basically going back. So I traveled from A to 1, B to 3, C to 2, and now I want to go back. So the traveling back is the inverse. So 1 is going back to A, 2 is going back to C, and 3 is going back to B. Okay, so this is F inverse. Inverse of a function is just this. From the domain, I go to the range. Here I have the domain. The images form the range, which is a part of the codomain. And from the range, I go back to the domain. Okay. If f of A is equal to 1, f inverse of 1 will be equal to A. Right? Yahi hai. This is what it is. Also, please notice that inverse of a function, I don't have any problem in that if it is a one-to-one function. The moment it becomes like this, what happens to the inverse? The inverse becomes like this. That is 3, B and C both going to 3. 3 will go to both B and C. So then this fails to be a function. Okay. So F inverse or inverse of a function is well defined only if the function f is one-to-one. Please understand, if it is a many-to-one, you notice what is the problem. It's becoming a one-to-many. If it becomes a one-to-many, obviously that fails to be a function. Got it? If it becomes a one-to-many, it's not a function anymore. It is only a relation, right? So f inverse will only be well defined if f is one-to-one, right? Few more things to talk about inverse. Let's see that. In order to find out inverse, it's very simple. The entire procedure of finding out the inverse, I've taken an example here. I've also shown you various examples, like when we did y is equal to x square by 1 plus x square. We saw that we were able to find out 1 by y minus 1 is equal to 1 by x square. 1 minus y by y is equal to 1 by x square, or x is equal to plus minus root over y by 1 minus y. So we were able to find this out. That is, y in terms of x, you need to find out x in terms of y. Although please notice that this x is not a function because I have plus minus. So it's a one-to-many. For one value of y, I'll get two values of x. That is besides the point. All I'm saying is that finding y in terms of x, finding from y is equal to something in terms of x to x in terms of y is what will give us the inverse. If it is plus minus something, then it is not a function. Okay. But that's besides the point. It's not a function. That is all that you need to say. That what is the inverse of the function y is equal to this? Inverse of the function is this. It is only a relation but not a function. That is what you need to say. If f is many to one, then f inverse fails to be a function. Okay. Now let's talk about a few properties of inverse of function. F of f inverse x is equal to x. Okay, which is the same as f inverse of fx. Okay, that is one. Another property is regarding the derivatives. The derivative is actually not very difficult. If I have y is equal to fx, dy by dx will be the derivative, which is equal to f dash. Okay, and then I write y in terms of fx. So f inverse y will be equal to x, or dx dy will be equal to f inverse derivative. Okay, now what is the relationship between dy by dx and dx dy? It's nothing but the inverse, or in other words, this tantamounts to saying that f dash is equal to 1 divided by f inverse dash. That is what this is saying. F inverse dash is equal to 1 by f dash. Okay, so the derivative of the inverse is equal to inverse of the derivative. The derivative of the inverse is the inverse of the derivative. As simple as that. F dash is equal to 1 by f inverse dash, or f inverse dash is 1 by f dash. The derivative of the inverse is the inverse of the derivative. Inverse basically means 1 by of the derivative. Okay? These are a few properties which I want you to know and to think about when you think about inverse. Okay,